This meeting of the Preservation Board for January 24th, 2022 is now in order. I will establish who's here by calling a roll. Commissioner Robinson, are you here? Commissioner Hamilton, are you here? Commissioner Colleen, are you here?
Present.
Commissioner Richardson, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Weber, are you here?
Here, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Allen, are you here?
Present.
Alderman Coder, are you here? Jack?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Barb, I count 6 present, is that correct?
Yes, as I unmute myself, it is absolutely correct.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you, commissioners. The order in which I will call on you to vote tonight is Weber, Allen, Coder, Robinson, Hamilton, Colleen, Richardson. The chair will only vote to break or make a tie. Commissioners, for old business, we have before us the minutes of the December 20th, 2021 meeting. Has anybody read them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion regarding those minutes?
I so move.
You so move to accept them without changes?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, those will be our minutes for December 20th, 2021. Looking through the agenda, commissioners. Does everybody have the updated agenda? And note that agenda item D has been dropped from the agenda. So we'll hear them A, B, C, E, F, and then the director's report. Is that correct, Meg?
That is correct.
Okay, then. Do any commissioners need to recuse themselves from the discussion or voting on any of these items? Okay, then, let's begin. Agenda item A, 2806 Limp.
Give me just one moment to share the screen so that everyone can see the presentation.
Yep.
I'm Andre Gagan, and this is 2806 Blimp Avenue. It's a preliminary review for the construction of a one-story single-family residence with an attached garage. The building is based on a model example. And you can go next slide. This is just the location. It's close to the corner of Lynch and Limp. And then this is the model example. This given is 2851 Limp. The design generally follows this model example. The main differences are the proposed building is slightly narrower and the entry differs in the arch type and lack of recess. Next, this is the building adjacent on Limp. Next. And this is the site plan. The building substantially complies in setback, mass, and scale. As I said before, it's slightly narrower than the other building, and although it is next to a two-story building, there are no buildings to the south of it. There's 3 lots in between it and the next building. There are several other one-story buildings on the block, however. And next. This is the front elevation. And then next. These are the side elevations. The proposed south elevation, we had a comment about as it is about a 41 foot return on the south is proposed to be brick. The remainder of that would be hardy boards lap siding. Since there are three vacant lots to the south, Cultural Resources Office is asking that the return on the south elevation be extended approximately 14 feet to the point where the garage attached, the attached garage starts, which is really behind that next window, like it's close to where the downspout is on the side elevation on the south elevation. We feel that the garage would be okay as hardy board as it normally, and that would like common material, but we think that it needs to go back to that point. Next, this is just the rear elevation, basically just garage door with a main door. Next, and just some context. These are along the south side of the street. It's a very long block. And then next, and this is just some context across the street and down on the west side of the street. The garage portion also substantially complies. Although it is attached, it meets the requirements for the garage to new construction. The Benton Park standards require the garage be set no more than 10 feet from the alley, which is in conflict with the zoning requirement that attached garages be at least 15 feet from the alley. But we don't see the 5 foot difference as a huge issue. The Benton Park Neighborhood Association has submitted a letter of support, which I believe you received. Their discussion, they were recommending incorporating front door, use semicircular brick arch and a recessed door, which we are at least requesting a recess at minimum. The use of limestone or precast concrete brackets on the front window sills, which is not something we had really discussed. Incorporate scroll work on the front windows, eyebrows, which is also something we were not requiring, and utilizing cementitious siding. And they have agreed to, at least to the cementitious siding, I believe. And I think the recess is negotiable as well, but the architect can speak to that. The preliminary findings, 2806 Blimp Avenue is located in Benton Park Historic District. Proposed design generally complies with Benton Park Historic District standards. The Cultural Resources Office has some concern about the amount of brick on the south elevation and a lack of recessed entry on the model example. Cultural Resources Office is recommends that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval to the project with conditions that the Cultural Resources Office review and approve final design details and exterior materials and colors, and that concerns regarding the extension of the brick on the south elevation and the lack of a recessed entry be addressed.
Great, thank you very much. Questions for staff, commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple.
Proceed.
So Andrea, Mike Killeen here. Andrea, are you, with this brick to siding on the south side, are you going to have them actually differentiate the architecture where the brick would be a little bit taller so the siding looks like it's an addition that came later? I know we've done that trick before.
I think it is recessed a little bit. I believe, let me check though. I think it's a little hard to tell on that. I think there is a little bit of differentiation there. Mary can probably speak to that a little bit better than I can. But I believe there's a little bit of a difference there.
Okay, and then would it be possible to go to the front elevation? I didn't understand some of the graphics on there. The little crosshatch axes, what do those represent?
Let's see it. Sorry.
The cross-hatching is just showing the structural framework behind the brick.
Oh, I see. Hi, Mary. Thank you.
Hi, Mike.
No more questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, any further questions? Ms. Smith, are you here to speak for the project?
Yes,
Okay, let's see if we have any questions for you. Any questions for the architect? Commissioners?
Well, hello again, Marion. Yes, so staff has asked for a recessed entry and a more pronounced arch. Are those possibilities in this design that you could explore, or what do you think? You're muted, Marion.
sorry.
You're fine.
All of the things that have been requested, I have reviewed with the client and we're agreeable to all of those conditions.
Okay, so you're okay with a recessed entry and
Yes,
the archway and adding 14 more feet of brick?
yes.
So that would get us up to what, 55-foot return?
Yeah, I think that's a record, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions from commissioners of Ms. Smith? Commissioner Robinson, welcome. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. No.
Do we have anybody signed up to speak on this besides the applicant?
Only Ms. Smith had signed up.
Okay. Commissioner Killeen, do you want to make this motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you for offering that. So I move that the Preservation Board approve this application with the following stipulations. Stipulation 1, that the brick return on the south side be at 55 feet from the corner. Stipulation 2, that the entryway, the entry door have a full brick arch, full arch, and that there be a recessed entry behind that arch. And that details and materials are worked out with staff.
Is there a second,
Second.
commissioners?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Weber. Is there any discussion?
I think it's a nice little design, and with these additions, it would be make a nice little addition in the neighborhood. So
Further discussion? Hearing none. Commissioners, it is a preliminary review. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we move into a slightly different moment of the meeting. We will hear appeals of staff denials. I will ask that the people who testify affirm that they're telling the truth and that they strive to build as complete a record as they could by introducing the documents that they want into the record. We will also have votes by roll call. The first item that we have to discuss is 6159 Lindell Boulevard.
Hi, so it's my turn, I assume?
Nope. But,
Okay.
but you're close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll have the staff make its case first.
I
then we'll ask you
apologize.
to Make your
I'm sorry.
case. But don't go away.
Just give me a minute to catch up here.
Hey, Jen, maybe I'll let him go first then.
Mr. Chairman, quick question for you.
Ready?
If I were to submit a last minute recusal on this one, would you have enough folks to vote on it?
I would.
Okay, I would like to recuse on this one. I didn't realize this address was on the agenda. I'm doing some other work for this client.
Okay. Barb,
Okay.
did you note that?
Yes, I did, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am ready. I'm Jan Cameron with the Cultural Resources Office, and I promise to tell the truth. This is in what we call an administrative denial of a proposal to replace the light fixtures to either side of the front door on this very wonderful property located in the Skinker de Bolivar, Catlin Tract, Parkview Historic District, Certified Historic District. Okay, and I'd like to enter into the record Ordinance 64689, our enabling legislation, Ordinance 56768, which are the revised Central West End Historic District standards, the agenda, the PowerPoint, and my presentation. This is the location. Washington University is in the far right edge of the map. And so it's the second one in from Skinker Boulevard. Next. And these are the existing light fixtures, which are original to the house. They do apparently function, although perhaps not well. But the historic district standards in this particular instance are very clear in saying that existing wrought iron and cast iron elements shall not be removed or altered in form. Original or historic light standards, lamps, and lanterns shall be preserved through repair and maintenance. On the right side of the screen is the proposed replacement fixtures, which would comply with the second part of this section of the ordinance, which says all new lighting fixtures shall be either authentic period styling or minimalist contemporary design and of a scale and height appropriate to the building. However, that would refer if these were not the original fixtures. Next. This is a site from Skinker. As you can see, that you actually really have to be up the driveway in order to see these new fixtures as proposed. However, because the standards are very specific in this instance, the staff is recommending that the board uphold the denial of the permit and that the light fixtures be retained and repaired. I should say also that we have heard from the Skinker de Bolivar Neighborhood Committee, who is in support of it, of the proposal, and also the Catlin Tract trustees, who are not really part of our jurisdiction, but they have indicated that they are in support as well. Questions?
Questions, commissioners?
Jan, these are definitely original to the building.
That
Just-
is my understanding. They are originally designed and they show up in the original drawings.
Thank you.
Jan, when you said the Skinker de Bolivar Neighborhood Association and the Catlin Tract folks are in support, do you mean in support of the appeal or in support of cultural
They
resource?
are in support of the appeal, that they
Okay,
feel that these are appropriate.
thank you.
Commissioners, any further questions of staff?
I just have one correction. Your staff report says the relevant legislation is 70926, the Lafayette Square Historic District Revised Standards, but you mean something else, right?
It's the Central West End standards, and that I can give you that ordinance again, but the revised standards for the Central West End. I mean, sorry, for the Skinker Bolivar Historic District.
Thank you.
Barb, is it clear what ordinance is entered into the record?
I am just checking. It was 70926 entered in by Cultural Resources.
Correct.
Okay. I tell you what, if you'd like, I can continue to check that, and you can continue testimony and I'll break back in. I don't want to hold up the proceedings.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from the appellant. Now it's your turn, Frank.
Oh, hi. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Not used to doing a Zoom meeting, so I apologize.
You're doing fine.
My name is Frank Bonan. I moved to this home in November of 2018 with my family, my wife Abby, and my two children, Bear and Bella, a 3 and a 4-year-old. So I stay pretty busy. Over the past, so I'm from Southern Illinois, so I moved here to be here. So we have been working pretty much nonstop on the house, on the inside, trying to get it back livable. When I had purchased it, it wasn't in the best condition. These front two lights that we have been trying to replace, they do not work. We have they worked until for about a month or two after we purchased the property, and the lights stopped working. I've had multiple electricians to the house to try to get the lights back working and have been unable to do so. And so that's why I would like to switch the lights from electric to gas. Now, I apologize. I'm very a novice at this, so I apologize about not knowing any of the rules. But I chose these lights because my neighbor at 6127 Lindell had recently installed these lights on a remodel that he had done. And so I asked him where he had purchased the lights, and so I called up Bavolo Gas and Electric Lights down in New Orleans and purchased these lights. So I have a significant investment in purchasing these lights, and because of the lights not properly working now, and I can't seem to get properly working, I would request that you would please allow me to install these gas lights in the front of my house.
So Mr. Bonan, if I ask you to walk over and flip the switch, would the lights go on or not?
No.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Bonan?
Yes.
Proceed.
So have the lights been removed?
No, they have not.
Okay.
The lights that you see in that picture on the computer screen, sir, are still up right now.
Okay. So I guess I am wondering how the electricians could test for power to the lights without the removal of them.
Well, they tested for the power to the lights, and the power was getting to the lights. The light itself, the lights themselves were not working properly. That's what I've been told on 3 different occasions.
Okay. And have you considered having them refurbished?
What I have been told is to refurbish these would be very difficult to do. So so I have not went down that path. But that's everyone, all 3 of the contractors that have come to the property to look at the lights have said that it's just not really economical, or they said it's just not possible. So I have not went down that avenue and explored that. That's when I started looking at for these lights, wanting to switch them to gas.
Gotcha. And so then my final question is, how much were the replacement fixtures?
They were around, I purchased these with some other light fixtures. So excuse me if I don't have the exact dollar amount for these lights, sir, but I think they're around $2,000 for the 2 lights, $2,300, something like that. I purchased these with, I believe 3 or 4 other exterior lights from this company. So I don't have the exact amount of what these were, but they're somewhere around that dollar amount.
Okay.
Any other commissioners have questions for the appellant? Commissioner Allen?
Yes. Sir, are you using historic tax credits on this project?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I was just going to ask if these have been reviewed for that process and approved, these replacements, but.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other commissioners with questions for the appellant? Okay. Do we have anybody else sign up to speak, Meg?
We do not, but Barbara Burkett has her hand raised.
Barb?
Oh, I wanted to return and clarify with staff. Did they intend to introduce ordinance 57688? That would be the Skinkard Zabalafer Caitlin Track Parkview Historic District Ordinance as per the Cultural Resources website.
Yes, that is correct. I had the wrong ordinance in my earlier testimony. It's 57688.
So in addition to introducing that, would you like the record to reflect that Scrivener's error in the proceedings in the agenda?
Please.
Okay. Such is the request, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Meg, is this a reputable lighting company? Do you know them?
I do know them very well and they're very reputable. Yes, do great work.
I had put some additional slides that were sent to me by the appellant. And one of them shows exactly what the fixtures will look like. So if you wanted to just
Sure.
advance it 3 slides, Meg, please. That's what the light fixtures are going to look like. Is that not correct, sir?
I'm sorry, I was talking while I was on mute. There's a drawing from the company that's attached here also. If you take a few slides up, that's what they're exactly gonna look like right there. That's from Bavolo Gas and Electric Lights. This being a French design house, that's why I chose to go to New Orleans, because they have a long history of nice design.
Okay, commissioners, thank you. I think that concludes the testimony in this matter. Commissioner Allen, you're good at splitting babies. Do you have a motion?
Well, I move that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Is there discussion? Commissioner Allen?
Well, I mean, I think the replacement fixtures look good. I just think that the applicant's own testimony, he stated that he has not explored refurbishing these existing fixtures in any great depth, and I would prefer to see some diligence on that end before we would allow removing these original features. That's just my take. And you know, I have no doubt these replacement fixtures would be wonderful. And if there weren't fixtures here, or if we were beyond the point where we knew these were categorically not repairable, they do look like a potentially good replacement. And Meg's endorsement of the company is nice to hear. But I just think before we take these off, we need to know more.
Okay. Alderman Coder, looks like you were about to speak.
Yeah, I'm going to vote no on the motion. I mean, it sounds like the applicant has consulted lighting experts for his testimony. He's gone and tried to find some that would match historically from the time down in New Orleans. He's discussed with the neighborhood association and his homeowners association, who are all in favor of this. So I'm gonna vote no, and would hope fellow commissioners were, so we can bring a new motion to overturn the director's denial and approve this appeal.
Commissioner Weber, looked like you wanted to speak.
Yes, I agree with the alderman. If the people that live around there are happy with what the owner is proposing, I see no reason to approve the denial.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Chairman. So my concern is in what I asked the owner. One has has he looked at refurbishing the lighting? And hearing testimony that electricians have reviewed. Doing this for a living, I can tell you that electricians are not who I would go to when looking at the refurbishment of a historic lighting fixture.
I apologize. If I said electricians, I apologize. It was, I only worked through contractors. I didn't call just a local electric company. So I was actually working through contractors on that.
Sure. So whether it be a contractor or electrician, I would be looking for a reputable lighting company that works with the restoration of historic lighting, as someone that could give me a yes or no on whether these were able to be refurbished or not. And given that testimony has not been given, I don't really see why we should be replacing these historic lights, especially given this particular house. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you, Commissioners.
Hi. Did you ask for outside testimony on people on the phone yet? Did I miss that?
Actually, we did, and we asked you to sign up in the chat with your name. Did you do that?
I did not, because I'm on the phone. And so it said when the chat was done, on the instructions, it says when the chat's done, then you would ask for other people. And I think I missed that.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Melinda Stewart. I'm the rehab consultant / historic consultant on this project. And I promise to tell the truth. Part of the problem with refabbing old fixtures, which I've had in the past, is people won't do it because they can't get it up to the modern code. And we have to meet the electric code now. The only other thing that I would point out is just how much the amount of work that the owners have done to retain the historicness on this property. Replastering the walls, they had the windows hand built to exactly match what was there because they were all rotted, etc. So I would ask you to take that into consideration. Also, if this doesn't go our way this time, if we do come back,
ma'am.
Yes.
The moment for your testimony has sort of passed. The board is in the middle of voting now. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Thank you very much. Okay, commissioners, we have a motion on the floor. It is to uphold the director's denial. I'm going to call a roll. Commissioner Weber, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Coder, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioners, that is 3 yeses and 2 nos. The appeal is denied. The denial is upheld. Is that clear?
That's pretty tough.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's pretty tough.
Commissioners, next up is 1835 Lafayette.
This is a very similar project to the foregoing. I'm Jan Cameron, and I promise to tell the truth. I would like to submit into the record for this appeal of the director's denial. And I hope I get it right this time. Ordinance 64689, our enabling legislation. Ordinance 70926, the Lafayette Square revised standards. The agenda, the PowerPoint, and my presentation. The proposal is to replace this deteriorated slate roof on this very lovely Second Empire house in Lafayette Square. Next, Meg, please. This is its location. It is half a block from Lafayette Square Park. And you can also notice that there is a substantial side yard on the east side of the property. Next, please. A detail of the roof. It's rather unusual in that the majority of it is a chisel point shingle that comes to a point, but there is there are three courses of, thank you, Meg, 4 courses of rectangular shingles here. Now, they're proposing to replace this roof with Da Vinci slate, which is an acceptable material, Da Vinci imitation slate, I should say. It's an acceptable material under the Lafayette Square standards, but the standards also say, similarly to the Skinger-Bolliger standards, where more than 50% of the original slate shingles are in existence, patterns created by the arrangement of slates of differing colors or configurations shall not be altered, period. So again, the staff is recommending that this alteration can't be approved under the standards. I should say also the Lafayette Square Historic District Committee has approved this. They are in support of it. The proposal is essentially to reverse the shingles so that the chisel point shingles will be only the 3 rows along the windows, and the rest of the roof will be the regular rectangular shingles. The reason for that is that the cost for the chisel point, it's a custom order and is extremely expensive. The appellant can go into that detail more in his testimony. But other than that, staff is recommending that the director's denial be upheld. Questions?
Just as a reminder to everyone, if you would like to speak on any agenda item, I know some people joined us late, please put your name and the agenda item in the chat and we'll call on you when it's time for public comment. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Yes, I have a question.
Proceed.
Jan, could you be clearer, please, to me? Is the Lafayette Square people in favor of upholding the denial or in favor of what the new roof will be?
They are in favor of the new roof.
They're in favor. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, just for my clarification, so we're still getting the pattern, it's just the reverse. That's what you
It'll
said.
be essentially reversed, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Further questions? Okay, then let's hear from the appellant.
Jesse Gillum is here to speak.
Hi, my name is Jesse Gillum. I'm with University Roofing and Construction. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. Is your testimony going to be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
I promise to tell the truth. So this is a very interesting project. We started working on this I started working on it with the homeowner about 16 months ago, and we have gone through a lot of different options. The first and foremost was to remove the existing and to replace it as is with slate. It's not a lot of actual roofing. It's about 650 square feet. The slate goes across the front and then it returns down the right side of the building about 9 or 10 feet. And the challenges with this, with the real slate, the diamond points, that's something that is done in the field, and it adds a lot of extra labor, a lot of extra time. The cost everything in the roofing business has gone 50 to 100% price increase in the last 12 months or so. So it's made things very difficult. We priced it out with Real Slate, and it was just, the price was just much too high for what the homeowner was willing to spend. So
What was the price?
the original estimate was 49. It was just shy of 50,000.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just shy of 50,000. So we went back to the drawing board. He said, can we do anything with this DaVinci, the synthetic slate? I said, absolutely. So we put together a second estimate that had a revised design where we flip-flopped the pattern, and that was $31,145. So, you know, there's a huge cost difference there. He approved that. He was very happy. When we stopped and quoted it with the DaVinci product, in order to replicate the design exactly, so we would have diamond point is the main field, and then we would have 3 rows of the just regular rectangular slate. The issue is with the DaVinci Roofscapes material, that is an injection molded process. The back side of the slate pieces, they have like a waffle cone, material. And so they're not designed to be cut or manipulated into a diamond point shape. It would ruin the material. So the only option we had there would be to special order DaVinci Roofscape material that is a completely solid tile or piece of slate. And those are about 5 times the cost of what the DaVinci slate would be normally. And that was just too cost prohibitive. So that's where we, arrived at the idea that we could flip flop that pattern. We would only have the 3 rows of diamond points going through the middle, and we could make that work, and it would be affordable. So we actually ordered this material. We've had it here for several months, and that's when we figured out that the regulations and the ordinances in Lafayette Square are very strict. So we're asking the Preservation Board to accept a grant of variance so that we can move forward with this and get this roof replaced. We always, and I think this is important to note, we always try to repair the existing or replace it as is when possible. The conditions that exist here are so poor that this is just not feasible to try and repair this roof. It's already had several repairs that have been made to it over the years, and it's just not a good candidate for it.
Mr. Gillum, would you like me to show the slides that you submitted?
I would love that.
Okay.
So these are the artist renderings, or I'm sorry, the architectural renderings that we had put together that show what this will look like. I think it is important to note right now the slate is painted, and it's been painted to match the same color as the building, which I have no idea why, but we are proposing the field to be a slate black and the accent, the diamond pieces, to be a gray color. So we're going to get away from that painted blue color, which I think it does nothing for the building. And I have no idea why they would have painted it that color, but and then we're going to install new copper flashings on the hips and around the windows as part of the project as well. And that's all I've got. Do you guys have any questions?
Let's see if we do. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Killam?
Yeah, I have a question. So just to clarify, so it was 50 grand to do the slate. It was 31 to do what you're proposing. Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Further questions?
Yes, Chairman. Have those numbers been submitted into the record?
We have sworn testimony.
Okay.
Further questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gillum. Meg, is there anybody else signed up to speak?
There's not.
Okay. Alderman Coder, we usually ask if the neighborhood or the alderman had a position on this. As it turns out, the alderman is sitting here.
I am, and I support the appeal, as Jan pointed out, so does the Lafayette Square Restoration Committee. And I'm happy to make a motion if you'd like.
Let's let you do that.
Okay, I move that we overturn the director's denial and allow the Da Vinci slate material per plan submitted by the applicant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I think the sworn testimony that showed that it's a 61% difference between doing what he's proposing versus doing the slate with the chisel point. So I think based on that, it warrants a variance.
Commissioner Killeen, it looked like you were about to speak. Are you?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Any other commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Robinson?
So I am in agreement with Commissioner Richardson. The only thing that I would say is both with this project and moving forward that we be consistent and either take sworn testimony or we actually enter into the record estimates to validate testimony.
That's a fair observation. Any further? Hearing none. There's a motion on the floor, commissioners. It is to overturn the administrative denial and to uphold the appeal. Commissioner Weber, on that motion, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, on that motion, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Coder, on that motion, which you may, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, on that motion, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, on that motion, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Commissioner Richardson, on that motion, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioners, I count 6 yeses, no nos. The chair abstains on this motion, and the appeal is upheld.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's do 2407 South 13th Street.
That's mine. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
They can't.
Hold on a second, sir.
Hold on just 1 second. It's not quite your turn yet,
Oh, okay.
but we are calling your agenda item. Let's hear from staff first.
Second. Rename myself. I am Andrea Gagan in the Cultural Resources Office, and I swear to tell the truth. I need to enter into the record the enabling ordinance 64689 as amended by 64925. The Soulard Neighborhood Historic District Ordinance 57078 is amended by 62382. PowerPoint presentation and the agenda. Okay, so this at 2407 South 13th Street, we received a Citizen Service Bureau complaint about windows being infilled. And it was, when we inspected it, it was noted that a window on the side had been fully infilled, and then a recessed window on the public facade had been partially infilled and a smaller window installed. Owner was sent a violation letter. He said subsequently applied for a permit. As the alterations to the public facade do not meet the historic district standards, we denied the application and it was appealed. So the public window on the public facade, which is recessed from the street, but still very visible. Next slide. This is just the location. And next slide. This is just a little closer version. And then next slide. This is the side before the alterations were made. In the next slide. And this shows the two alterations more closely. The opening on the public facade was shortened. The installed window is not based on a model example. Basically, the only way that a public facade window is supposed to be closed is by recessed shutters. And that would be like the full height of the opening. You're not allowed to shorten a window on a public facade. And the window itself is not based on an adjacent window, although I believe the material would be okay. The other issue, which is on both of the windows, is that the brick and mortar do not match the surrounding brick and mortar. Now, the owner has stated that he would like to take it out and redo it because he also is not happy with it. So we're okay with the full infill as long as he does that work and makes it match the brick and the mortar. It's the one on the public facade that is really the issue. And based on the preliminary findings, the Cultural Resource Office recommends that the preservation uphold the director's denial of a permit to retain bricked-in windows. It's a public facade window does not comply with the Stewart local historic district standards. And you can go next slide. There's just some context. Next. Any questions?
Are there questions, commissioners? Thank you, Ms. Gagan. Okay, let's hear from the appellant. Now, sir.
Yes, is it my turn to speak? Hello?
Yes, it's your turn to speak, sir.
Okay, I'm hard of hearing, so if I don't hear, bear with me and tell me to say and say anything I want to say again, twice if I need to.
Begin, please. Begin, please, by telling us your name.
Oh, okay. My name is Robert Cox.
Is your testimony going to be the truth, Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Okay, make your case, please.
Okay. The window that faces the front of the house. I question whether it's considered to be a primary facade because it's 25 to 30 feet back from the front. The window, well, back up a little bit. The house has been rebuilt many times. It burned twice. It was hit by the tornado in 1895 and rebuilt. Probably burned also because it had gas lights. In the 80s, major restoration was done to the house. It was done very badly, very little thought to it. By the way, there's no permit at all for any of the work. They installed a new staircase from the second to the third floor. There are 5 steps up into the window. It simply, and I have vertigo, I sleepwalk, and I have coordination issues since I had a head injury. Where I'm dizzy all the time. I have twice fallen into this window, one time going through it. I didn't go on down and land on the ground. I just cut myself up a lot. The reason for installing it halfway up with bricks and mortar and a wood structure on the inside is in case I trip and fall again, I'm not going out head first. This is a safety issue. We cannot have that window full height. It's just because of where they put the landing on that staircase. It's in 3 sections. I think it would look better if it didn't have the lower windowsill in, but I understood that was what I was supposed to do, so I left it there. The bricks and mortar do not match. I paid somebody to do this. I was very unhappy with his work. I would like to replace the brick and mortar on both windows with appropriate colors. But I very much want that window there. I paid $1,150 for the window. It's tempered glass, but you know, somebody can hit that and it can come out. I mean, if you have a full height window, it's just plain dangerous. Yeah, it goes down to below the floor level on that landing. And that means there's just nothing to stop somebody if they trip and fall. We've put a huge amount of money. We're over $300,000 in restoring the house. I think it looks better with brick than if we put in shutters. And the code is that we can close the complete window off and we can put in shutters. I think that's ugly. Brickwork is attractive. I'm a mason. I believe in it. The other part Andrea has suggested is that we could brick up the entire window. And I'd like to have the light coming in, you know, the sunlight. It's a east facing window. It'd be perfect for, you know, morning sunlight. And I'd like to be able to redo the brick and mortar on both windows and leave it as is for safety reasons. And in the other window, which Andrea says, you know, we could just replace the brick and mortar on it, that is bisected by a staircase also from the first to the second floor. You know, had staircases originally in the back of the house. At one time, this was 5 apartments. And they changed it to a bed and breakfast in the 80s and a single occupant, essentially, house. And they put staircases in different places. And so those 2 windows were affected. That's all.
Questions for the appellant, commissioners?
I have
Okay.
a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Robert, it's Michael Allen. I know we've known each other for a long time, and I know of the work you've put into this house. Why didn't you go to the Cultural Resources Office before infilling these windows?
To tell you the truth, I did. I put it in the application for when we were replacing all the windows in the house. We were replacing the roof, the gutters, the fascia, the soffits, the downspouts, the drain lines running to MSD. Huge expense. The roof was, an asphalt shingle roof in horrible condition. We replaced it with Da Vinci. And I put it in there. Somewhere along the line, I deleted it. I don't know how. It wasn't there. The application for everything we were doing was approved. I thought it was. When I go back and take a look at it, I can find it in my original drafts. It's gone later on. I made a mistake. But, Andrea can tell you that my building applications are very precise and very complete. I just goofed.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Ms.
Yeah,
Gagan?
it's Jack.
Oops, hold on. Go ahead, Commissioner. Sorry.
Thanks. Robert's Jack Coder. Hey, if you're going to replace the brick and mortar in the full infill window, if approved, I know you're not happy with the color you mentioned of the mortar and the brick. If this is granted, would you be willing to remove, I don't know, one of those window sills in the half window?
The bottom one.
Okay.
I don't think it looks very good the way it is. I think, but we're supposed to leave the window sills in according to the code. I argued with the brick mason on that, and he said, no, I need to take this out. It won't look good. I said, the code says you leave it in.
Robert, and one other question, looking at an old, I guess maybe it was the photo in the first slide, I don't remember. There appears when there was a window there was some sort of railing or something blocked. Yeah, that picture. Was there a railing or something in that window?
It was just a handrail and balusters, and I went right through that when I hit the window.
Okay, that was, you answered my next question. Thank you, sir.
And I ended up putting it back, but it was just tacked in. It was not a protection.
Great, thank you.
Any other commissioners? Ms. Gagan,
Yes.
is there anything that you'd like to clarify?
Yes. Number one,
Proceed.
they can't break up the entire window on that window. And the other option that we would find acceptable would be to enclose it or close it off in the interior and leave a window on the exterior. So this close up behind the window so that there wouldn't be any danger of going through it.
Any questions on that clarification?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So Andrea, you're saying to have a full double hung window that would be fully covered on the inside or
Yes.
partially?
Well, I mean, I guess you could just cover half of it. I mean, if you wanted the tops has to be, for light, But yeah, I mean, if they wanted to close up partially, at least on the interior, that would be okay. Because it wouldn't be as noticeable from the exterior as obviously a bricked in window.
Okay, thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
I think that's ugly.
Okay, thank you. Meg, is there anybody else signed up to speak?
No, there's not.
Okay, then. Commissioner Richardson, have you got one or two motions?
I do not have a motion on this one.
Okay. Commissioner Allen, have you got one or two motions?
Oh, come back to me in a minute.
Okay. Commissioner Robinson, have you got a motion on either of those two windows? Otherwise, we're going to make Commissioner Fathman make a motion.
I
Is there an easy one and a hard one for you?
Well, I have a motion for one of the windows.
Okay, let's hear that.
I move that and how do I make that motion? Yeah, that's not making sense.
Which one are we talking about?
I move that the preservation board allow for a new double hung window of full height in the existing location with either the interior of the window being completely enclosed or the bottom half up to the rail being enclosed.
Okay, that's a motion regarding the front facing window. Is that correct?
That is the motion regarding the front facing window right there.
Is there a second? Commissioner, for purposes of discussion, I'll second your motion. Barb Burkett, is the motion clear?
I can read you what I have and possibly you may want to correct me. This is a motion to allow a front facing window to be a double hung window of full height in the existing location with either completely disclosed or a bottom half below the rail being closed. Is that correct?
On the interior, correct. So from the street, you see a window.
Barb, is that now clear for the record?
I believe it. I believe that it is. If it's clear to everyone who needs to discuss it, is another question, but it's clear for the record.
Commissioner Robinson, discussion?
Yeah, so I am definitely opposed to bricking up a historic window, and especially one that faces the street, even though it is recessed back, you can clearly distinguish the window. By the same token, I understand the owner's plight, and understand that for safety, you want to enclose part of this window or all of the window, whatever makes sense for the owner, but bricking up a portion of that window completely loses the historic character of the home. And it is much more difficult and far less likely that will be removed in the future versus a couple of studs and some drywall that could far easily be removed and re-expose the window if need be later.
Is there any further discussion by commissioners on the motion regarding the front-facing window?
Yeah, Chairman, some more discussion, and I certainly understand where this is a difficult situation, and I know Mr. Cox, and I'm familiar with his home and some of his mobility issues. I mean, I'm just wondering, it doesn't sound like there's going to be an appetite on this board for sort of half the window filled in. And I get what Commissioner Robinson's trying to accomplish here, but would it make more sense? And I know this isn't necessarily the appellant's preferred route, but to close the window in and put shutters over it. I mean, staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the staff mentioned for a public facade, if you're going to get rid of a window, you got to keep the opening and you can use shutters to close it. There's certainly a lot of examples of shuttered windows throughout Soulard. I mean, would that be, from an aesthetic purpose, would that be a better solution than having a window with clearly either brick or drywall behind it that would still be visible from the street?
Well, I mean, obviously with brick behind it would be a problem. Yeah, normally what they do is they would, paint it black on the inside, or the interior of the whatever the closure, so that you can't really tell so much that there's, a wall behind it, other than it, because it's, those windows tend to be dark anyway, so that it's not quite as obvious as, obviously putting a shutter in, but a shutter closer, if the brick was removed, a shutter closer is allowable under the standards.
Okay.
I should also mention that I have done this in a couple of applications that we've had where we've kept windows, and as Andrea just explained, we paint all of the structure black. You'll never notice it. You almost never notice it unless you are really attempting to look for it.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, could you clarify something for me, please?
I'll try.
Do we first need to vote on whether to deny or not deny the staff recommendation and then get into the individual windows?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion, commissioners? Okay, there is a motion on the floor regarding the front-facing window. I will call a roll. Commissioner Weber, do you vote yes or no on that motion?
Abstain.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Alderman Coder, do you vote yes or no on that motion?
No.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no on that motion? And Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Okay, commissioners, that is 3 yeses, and and 1 no. The motion carries. Do I hear a second motion regarding the side-facing window?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that the Preservation Board allow the appellant to infill the side window on the north elevation as long as the details for new brick and mortar be reviewed and approved by the Cultural Resources Office staff.
For purposes
I
of discussion,
second.
I will second that one.
Okay.
Discussion? Commissioner Allen?
I think it's kind of speaks for itself. It seems like even the appellant doesn't like the way this was done. I'm not particularly bothered by the infill of this window, but I do think the details ought to have been reviewed by Cultural Resources. So this allows him to proceed, but redo the work in a manner that meets the standards for the district.
Alderman Coder, you've unmuted yourself. You have something to say?
Yeah, no, I agree with the motion and we'll support it. And it sounds like the appellant does as well.
Commissioner Killeen, you've unmuted yourself.
I'm just getting ready to vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else? Commissioner Robinson, I've given you plenty of time to gather up steam.
I am prepared to vote on the motion.
Okay, commissioners, I'll call a roll. On the motion before us regarding the side-facing window, Commissioner Weber, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Coder, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
The chair abstains on this vote. There are 6 yes votes and the motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. Calling agenda item, whatever it is, 4525 Lindell.
I'm Andre Biggin. I swear to tell the truth again. I need to enter into the record the enabling ordinance 64689 is amended by 64925. The Central West End Historic District Ordinance 56768 is amended by 69423. On the PowerPoint, the agenda, and the presentation. Okay, so this building, we have received this is a location, it's on Lindell. The Cultural Resources Office received a complaint regarding windows being installed and wrapped on the front and side of 4525 Lindell. This was in July 2020. The building inspector informed the applicant that they needed a permit and the work stopped. The applicant subsequently applied for a permit for the windows. After a site visit with the Cultural Resources staff, a permit was approved for those windows not visible or only obliquely visible from the street. As the proposed aluminum windows and wrapping did not comply with the Central West End Historic District standards. Subsequently, the applicant applied for a permit for the 352 front and visible side windows in September of 2021, proposing the same non-historic aluminum windows and wrapping, including the 44 windows that were installed without a permit. Permit was denied and the owner is appealing. The windows do not comply for the front windows. Aluminum is not approved historic replacement window material. On the sides, it is. However, the aluminum windows that they are proposing do not replicate historic windows. So on the sides or the rear, or the sides or the front, neither one comply with the historic district standards. Although the existing window trim is wrapped with aluminum coil stock, it was removed to put new coil stock on, which is not allowed. Also, the you can see the comparison of existing and the new windows. The existing windows aren't very visible at this point because there are some lovely aluminum storms in front of them. But I believe the historic wood windows are still there. As also there's multi-light basement windows at the side elevations. As I said, the 44 windows on the front and side, visible sides, were installed without a permit. Although the Cultural Resources Office, went out, we tried to get, a way that they could comply, especially on the side windows, is they could use aluminum windows on the side. They just need to use the right ones. And if they didn't disturb the wrapping, they could keep the wrapping, but they can't re-wrap. If it's removed, they have to go back to a historic brick mold and mullion. The installed windows do not comply with the Central Western Historic District standards and material profile wrapping, and in some case mutton powder. The applicant has also not provided installation details for the windows that are proposed. The remaining 308 windows would be the same non-compliant windows that were installed without a permit. I also have a letter from the Central West End Planning and Development Committee, basically saying the same thing. They said that they were that the director's denial should be upheld as the preservation that the Cultural Resources Office recommended. And we are recommending the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial of the application to retain the illegally installed windows and replace the remaining windows as they not comply with the historic district standards. Now, until 2016, there were some aluminum windows that were allowed on the front of buildings, but that did change with the new standards. And they would have still had to been the historic aluminum windows at that point. And wrapping has never been allowed under the standards. Any questions?
Quick reminder, if I can interrupt, just if you are here to speak on this issue, please put your name in the chat. Thanks.
Harry Katz. And Steve.
Commissioners, questions of staff?
Is there any questions?
Hearing none. Let's see. Let's hear from the appellant. Is that you, sir?
Yes.
Okay, tell us your name. Tell us you're going to tell us the truth.
My name is Harry Katz. My installer has brought, I believe, sent the type of window that he was going to use on the street-facing side, which is approved for the city.
Before your testimony begins, will you affirm that your testimony is going to be the truth?
The truth, yes.
Okay. Proceed.
Anyway, the window is a Crown Industries M-1400, and that is supposedly an approved window for the area. Before 2016? Oh, yeah. We mentioned something about wrapping the casements. We did not unwrap the casements. We covered the casements with the new material. And, like you had said about the storm windows, you couldn't even tell they're wooden windows unless they're open and you see the two pieces of wood going across. To go back a little bit, 2017, the city wanted us to report all of our utility uses because they're concerned about the energy use of the buildings, apparently. And so we figured putting insulated windows in would continue to save on that energy and would be good. As far as the looks of the windows, everybody that has gone by our buildings has looked up and says, those new windows look wonderful. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of buildings around here that have that window that I mentioned. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we're trying to make the neighborhood look better, and we're trying to make the energy better, and but what else to say?
Let's see if we have any questions for you. Commissioners, questions for the appellant?
Yes, have we heard from, do they have support from the neighborhood or from the alderman?
There is no alderman.
The neighborhood is opposed.
Thank you.
Alderman Coder, that got a smile from you.
It did. There is no alderman there. I guess question for Mr. Katz. I mean, can you walk us through, sort of what efforts you've made to, it sounds like originally windows were being installed without a permit until there was a stop work order issue. What efforts have you made to work with the city on finding a suitable replacement window?
Well, let me let you talk to my window installer. His name is Steve.
Yes, this is Steve Strockoff with Windoor. I'm doing providing the installation of it.
Before you proceed, Steve, before you proceed, is your testimony going to be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, now proceed.
So what I was told was that the window that we were using was okay for the back half, and that was approved, which we did. The front 4 units is when we got shut down. That's during when COVID started. I don't even think your office was open. We stopped immediately, and that's when I presented the 6400 series, which uses the Crown Industries M14 sill, which is a historic sill. At that time, it wasn't clear, but I thought we could do that on the front sides after the second floor all the way up. The question comes into the front to where we want all that to Harry Katz wants that to match. So that's why nothing has been done with that. So we do want to get the building permit for the front, but we have to have a window approved, which I did send the shop drawings for the 6400. I believe you should have those. And I understand that those were changed, but I think Harry's objection is that the building right next door has it, and 20 other buildings within a square 2-block area has that window as well. As far as looking into the windows that the Central West End has approved, would be the wood window, and those would all, with the trim for the outside, would all be feasible if it was a total gut and remodel where the whole jamb was coming out, which you could do that if the inside was going to be redone too. But from a cost factor of tearing the whole unit out, then you get into another cost of redoing the whole interior trim, which is old historic wood trim, which would be hard to duplicate in itself. So that's why we didn't go that route. We're looking for a pocket window to where we don't have to disturb the inside. With that being said, all the windows such as, that have the pocket windows that are approved, we come into the situation of finishing the outside. If you did a total replacement of the window, the composite and the aluminum extrusions are fine for total tear out, but for a retrofit, it is not. So that's where we're running into a problem.
Got it. Thank you.
Further questions, Alderman?
No.
Any other commissioners have questions? Megan, is there anyone else signed up to speak?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Colleen, have you got a motion?
I move that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial of the application to retain the illegally installed windows and to replace the remaining windows as they do not meet the Central West End Historic District standards.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion, commissioners? Hearing none, I'll call a roll. There's a motion on the floor. Commissioner Weber? do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Coder, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this vote. Commissioners, that is 6 yeses, no nos, 1 abstention. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Director's report.
Hi, everyone. Give me just 1 second. All right, well, just wanted to give y'all a few updates on some things. First of all, as I hope you know, we here at the Cultural Resources Office strive for quality, thoroughness, and timeliness. But we have been understaffed for a few months, and it's been something of a challenge to keep up with a volume of applications, which, in a great news for the city of St. Louis, has not abated at all. So there are lots of projects happening, and we're doing our best to keep up. Hopefully we'll have a full staff shortly, and we'll be able to do things above and beyond just the everyday stuff. One of the things that we had hoped to have planned by now is a board retreat for all of you, but with Omicron, that's made things difficult. So we are now thinking that the safest thing to do would be to plan something maybe for the spring, so that if need be, we could do something outside. We will keep you posted on that, and of course involve you in whatever planning takes place there. Also wanted to let you know that we are developing ideas for projects that could be supported by grants from the Historic Preservation Fund. As you may recall, that was the source of the funds that enabled us to do the 2013 Mid-Century Modern Study. Our goal this time will be to take on a project related to St. Louis's rich African-American heritage. And lastly,
what is the balance of the fund?
Oh, you apply for the funds at 3 times a year.
Okay.
They're up to, I think they're up to $10,000. They need to be matched, but they can be matched in staff time. And that's how we did the Mid-Century Modern Study.
Cool.
And lastly, I wanted to address the issue of demolition by neglect, which has been in the news lately. I wanted to assure the Preservation Board and the public that we take our responsibility to the city's historic built environment very seriously. And we are, along with other departments, looking at the possibility of using this ordinance or other avenues to protect and preserve the city's architectural legacy.
We've never used that ordinance before, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there a reason why?
There are several reasons. One, that it's a little complicated. It involves several departments and legal action, but that's not to say that it can't be used.
Do you think the ordinance needs any changes?
I think that's something for a detailed discussion.
Okay, let's have it.
I'm not prepared to have that kind of detailed discussion at this moment.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
The director, there is a role though for the commissioners of this board under that ordinance, right? I don't know if it's not hopefully too complicated to just tell us what that is in case we don't know.
Yes. Yes. We bring, the staff can bring a petition to the Preservation Board, which can then act on it and can initiate the demolition by neglect procedure, which then goes to the building division.
Could I weigh in here, Chairman, as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and I know this has been in the news, and frankly, it's a good discussion. It's a frustration I know myself and many other aldermen share, and it's not so much with this board. I mean, this board, I suppose, could have the power to find that someone's, I guess, committing demolition by neglect, but has no authority to appropriate city monies to fix the building, and that's where I think the problem lies. I've had a number of conversations with the building commissioner on this front, but we need to get to a point. I mean, we're in a unique situation where we've got a lot of federal funding. We've got, some money coming in from the RAM settlement. There are certainly buildings that are privately owned that clearly the owners are not going to expend funds to shore up and fix. And, maybe we do as a city look at doing that. We have the ability to put a lien on the property to recover those monies at an eventual sale. But I can think of many in my ward that certainly are valuable, that for some reason or another, the owners is just letting deteriorate. So if there's changes that the staff, and the city need believe need to be made to the ordinance, I'm certainly happy to do that. I think having hearings just to say, yeah, the owner's not taking care of the building, isn't a worthy endeavor unless we can put our, money where our mouth is and actually force the expenditure of funds to fix the buildings.
Meg, to what sort of buildings does the ordinance apply?
To high merit buildings specifically.
Other examples?
In the ordinance, there are not specific examples, but there are a number of high merit buildings in the city, obviously.
Okay. Commissioners, questions of the director? Okay, Meg, I interrupted your report. Continue.
That was the conclusion of my report.
Okay, then. Do we have any other business for the good of the order? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So, second.
Any objections? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Chairman, thank you, everyone.